I'm life and business coach Samantha Sifring, and this is the Online Business Building Mamas podcast, where you learn how to build a wildly successful business from home while raising kids. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. So today we are talking about obstacles. So this is a follow-up from last week's episode where I asked you all to think about how much do you want to make? And then I told you that making as much as you want to make really comes down to doing the math, innovating your way there, and removing the obstacles that are between you and the goal that you have. So today we're doing a deep dive into the obstacles. And this is going to be so helpful for all of you at really identifying what is standing in the way between you and your goal. I think that there is the goal that you have down the road from you, and there's you right here on that same road, and in between you and the goal is just a bunch of junk. It's just a bunch of trash bags full of some work that you need to do and you need to clear out of the way before you can hit your goal. I think that thinking of it this way, thinking of I'm on the same road as my goal, there's just some obstacles in the way, and I just need to do the work to clear those out, and then I'm going to easily be able to run through and hit my goal. I think that is such an empowering way to think about our goals. I think that this sounds so much better than having your goal be like at the top of Mount Everest and you have to, do some weird trek up there where you're like not having oxygen and you're turning left at the Blue Parka. I'm fascinated by the corpses on Mount Everest. If you haven't noticed, it is something that is in my mind and apparently is now part of this episode forever. So enjoy. Hope you love that. So I don't want you thinking about getting to your goal being this like huge, terrible slog. I don't want you thinking about this having to be something that is mysterious or far away or you can't see it or it's like this endless staircase. Like I think that there's a lot of mental images about our goals that don't really serve us. And your mental image of your goal just being right down the street, there's just some trash in between you and the goal, I think is the best way to think about it. And that has truly been my experience building my business. I didn't always decide to look down the street and see that the goal was there. When I first started my business, I could only imagine making $50,000. I could not even fathom $100K in a year, let alone over $1 million, which is where I am now. So I want you to just have grace and compassion for yourself where you are. It's fine. Whatever the goal is that you are working towards is perfect, right? I think if you haven't made $100K yet, that should be the number. If you've made over $100K, then bump it up. $200K, $500K, $1 million. Put a challenging number there. It's going to help you with today's episode to find all of the trash bags. Okay, so put the largest number that you can imagine down the street from you, and let's think about what is in between. And here's why I want you to think about it this way. Because I really think each obstacle, so like each bag of trash in between you and the goal, is the growth that you have to do to hit that goal. And everybody has a different number of trash bags, and unfortunately, that is not fair, right? It's not going to be the same for everyone. But I think that everybody has some bags, right? Everybody's got some trash bags down there in relation to some of their goals, one of their goals. And I want you to really look at those as the path to the goal. So it's not necessarily that they are preventing you from ever getting there. They're actually like lighting the way. That's why they're like down the street from us, right? Like each one is like leading us closer and closer to the goal. So I want you to use this prompt to help you uncover what might be there. So I want you to think about this big goal that you have. And then I want you to ask yourself to list out all the reasons you think you can't hit it. I think a lot of times we're like busy trying to like slap on these new beliefs and mantras and that kind of thing, and we're not really healing what is there. And for a lot of us, there's some stuff there that we truly need to heal. I would say 90% at least of the coaching that I do, especially in Mama to CEO, is this kind of stuff. Even in the mastermind too, I would say like this is the stuff that you really need coaching on. So like I teach a lot of the strategy and that kind of thing. And you know, I'm all about keeping it simple. We do all of the simple stuff, right? And what makes it not as simple as just run down the street and hit your goal is these things, these stories and things that you need to heal. So I wanted to talk about some examples to kind of like walk you through what this could look like. So one of the first ones that I want to talk about, I actually coached a client on this recently in Mama to CEO. And she was telling me that she has been looking at some of her competitors recently on social media and feeling bad. So this is for sure one of the bags between her and the goal is what came up around looking at competitors' social media. So this was other people in her same industry. And I asked her, why are you following them? And she had some thoughts around needing to learn from them and that they have really good ideas, and it was really inspiring to her and helped her come up with her own content. And what we uncovered from that is, I think I asked her, what are you believing about yourself when you're like thinking that and doing that? Like when you think that you have to follow them to learn and to be able to come up with your own content ideas, like what are you telling yourself about yourself? And she was really belittling herself in the face of these other people in her industry. She was placing them above her. She was diminishing her own thoughts and unique ideas. She was diminishing her business. She even said sometimes she shared their content, and I was telling her, it's like your social media is just like, I'm not very good at this, but these other people are. You should definitely follow their amazing ideas. And it never got her to the place where she truly wanted to be. Like, think about the whole intention of following them was for her to feel super confident in her business and with her ideas and to show up as a leader in her industry. And of course, she's not doing that when she's following other people and making them the leader of her. So the shift for her was recognizing that pattern and getting away from that, unfollowing that other person, hiding them, whatever it may be, and really focusing on what do I have to offer and really nurturing her self-concept as somebody who has something unique and special and valuable to offer instead of consuming competitors' value, which did not make her feel good at all. So that's an example, right? And it came from the thoughts that she had about herself, and it was manifesting in her doing this cycle of consuming that other content, not creating her own content, feeling down on herself, not showing up for her audience, not having the impact that she really wants to have. So that's one example. Another example might be if you are looking at your goal and thinking about, why can't I hit that goal? You might think something like, my audience isn't big enough. So many of you have this thought. And I get it. I have this thought too. I feel like this is just like the thought that brains offer. Brains like to offer like everyone in your audience has already bought. So if you want more people to buy, you need a bigger audience. And I think for some of you, genuinely, yes, you need a bigger audience. And if that is where you are, my visibility guide is for sure what you need. And then when Mama to CEO opens up again, you need to join. because I will help you in there to grow your audience and to make sales with the existing audience that you have. Even if it's 0 people, like that's not a problem. I will help you sell whatever it is you offer, even if you have no audience. That's a huge premise of my program, that you don't have to have a huge audience. But your brain is always going to be harassing you, telling you you don't have a big audience. And what you might want to do is to just dig into that a little bit more. Because I think at first glance, you would think, I don't have a big enough audience, so the obstacle in my way is that I need to grow my audience. And yes, growing audience is definitely part of having a business. But typically, there are some other thoughts in there. So I would ask you to think about why. Why do I think that I don't have a big enough audience? Why do I think that there aren't people ready to buy in my current audience? This is going to help you uncover some of the thoughts. For me, for a long time, a big thought that I had around audience and growing a business and hitting really big goals, especially $1 million, was people don't want to follow me. I have always had this story that I'm not that popular. People don't want to follow me. I was very much in high school. I would say I just felt invisible most of the time. I didn't have a consistent group of friends. I didn't really have a consistent identity in high school. I kind of bounced around, and we all just love to carry our middle school, high school, elementary school, all the things into our business. So for me, then it was well, I'm not popular. I'm not somebody people really like. I'm not somebody people want to follow. So of course, I can't build a huge audience and a super successful business. So working through that story was a big part of the obstacles that I had to clear to get where I am right now. Of course, it wasn't the only thing. It's never just one thing. We all have our things, but that was one of mine. That was one that I really had to work through. Another one is that it's not possible for me. I've shared in these past couple episodes that I only believed I could make $50,000 in a year. So when I thought about $100K or $1 million, I did not think that that was possible for me. And to dig into that, I just had to ask myself, why? Why do I think it's not possible for me? And of course, there was thoughts that came up, right? One of those thoughts was around people don't want to follow me. So I think that these are the kinds of questions that you want to be asking yourself. You want to be looking for, what are all of these stories I have that are going to stop me from getting where I want to go? So I really want to encourage you to take the time to do those exercises. If you are in Mama to CEO, bring them to the group. Get coached on them. It is so normal to have a bunch of thoughts in between you and the goal that you want to achieve. And that is why we have coaches. That is why I offer Mama to CEO coaching. So I want you to really look at this. And I also want all of you to kind of think about this. I think that this is a fun thought playground, a place to just take your brain and explore. I want you to think about this. What are all the reasons that you think you can't make $1 million in a year? What comes up when you think that you can't make $1 million in a year? I want you to go through that. I want you to really explore in the thought playground all of the reasons that you think you can't do that. This is going to be so helpful for you to see all of the problems that you need to solve to get there. I really think of this as, if you want to figure out the how, everyone's always like, what's the how? And the truth is, there's not one right how. I've already talked to you on this podcast about the equation for money, value, offers, consistency. That is the how. That's the how that's true for everybody. But beyond that, the details of that are going to be different for everybody. That's going to be something that you need to work out. But I think the best way to identify your roadmap to any goal, especially $1 million, and what I love about that goal is that for most of you listening, that's probably very triggering of all of your growth. I think that it will bring up all of the limiting thoughts and stories. All the work you have to do will come up when you think about that. For me right now, it's thinking about a $10 million business. It brings up all the garbage that is in between me and that goal. So I want you to think about what are all those reasons that I think that I can't do that? What are the things that would stop me from making $1 million? And then I want you to notice that list is your roadmap to $1 million. Solve all of those things and you will make $1 million. How fun is that? So fun. And if you really want to make $1 million, then you for sure need to join me in Simple Scaling Mastermind. Our enrollment is opening up next month at the end of January. January 31st is when our enrollment is opening up for the next round. It's going to be open, applications open for 3 days. And if you have already made money in your business, if you've already established, I know how to make money, I've gotten some clients, I want you to apply. In this mastermind, we are first building the foundation and then scaling to $1 million. And I think the best thing that you can do is once you've established that you know how to make money, which I'm filtering the applications for that. So don't let your self-doubt count you out of applying, right? I will tell you to go to Mama to CEO if you're not ready. But for people who have established that they know how to create money, they know how to make money, and they've demonstrated that, being in this mastermind is going to allow you to build the foundation that is most going to serve you when you go into scaling. It's going to allow you to build your foundation in the way that you're going to scale from a scaling perspective. So not necessarily shifting into a scalable offer or anything like that, but bringing in the mindsets of scaling, simplicity, and setting up a company culture and that kind of thing, boundaries. Like having that foundation from the very beginning will serve you so much. So keep an eye for that. We have a wait list that you can find in the show notes and on my website. And mark your calendars, January 31st to February 2nd. All right, everyone. I hope you have an amazing end of year, and I will talk to you again in 2022. If you like this podcast, I want to invite you to coach with me over in my program, Mama to CEO. There's you, and there's the consistent income you want to make in your business, and I help you remove everything standing in between. It's lifetime access for mastering your marketing, sales, time, and everything else you need to have the business and life you really want. Whether it's making your first 1,000 or 100,000, I can help you do it. To join, go to mamatoceo.com, mamatoceo.com.